Welcome to the deep dive. We dig into interesting sources, pull out the key insights, and basically help you get up to speed fast. Today, we're jumping into a really, I think, influential book in personal finance. We're looking at key bits from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, this book, it sets up this really striking contrast, You've got Kiyosaki's actual dad, his poor dad, very educated, but, well, struggled with money. And then there's his best friend's dad, the rich dad. Less formal education, but incredibly savvy financially and built significant wealth. So our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to unpack the core lessons, the big mindset shifts from the book. We want to help you understand how wealthy people tend to think and maybe give you some practical ideas for your own financial path. Okay, so let's get right into probably the biggest idea Kiyosaki presents. The rich don't work for money, money works for them. He contrasts his poor dad's advice, which is always, get a good job, with the rich dad's approach. Build assets that generate income. Seems simple on the surface, but why do you think that idea is, well, so hard for most people to really internalize and act on?
Yeah, it's a complete shift in perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most of us are just, conditioned from day one to trade our time for a paycheck. That's the deal. You work X hours, you get Y dollars. Very linear.
Right.
Kiyosaki just flips that. He says, no, the goal is to get your money, your capital, your assets to do the heavy lifting. So they're generating income for you even when you're not physically working.
Like the whole making money while you sleep idea.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
It's revolutionary for many people because the aim isn't just earning more through your job. It's building this like engine where your money makes more money.
Mm.
That's what ultimately buys you freedom, your time back.
Okay, so if money needs to work for you, then Kiyosaki really stresses that you need a different kind of education. Not necessarily just school smarts. He hammers home this point that financial education is power. And it's not about how much you earn, right? It's about how much you keep and how you make it grow.
Mhm.
So what kind of self-education does he highlight? What skills does he say are really crucial here?
Well, that's a key point he makes about, traditional schooling. He's not saying it's worthless, obviously,
Yeah.
but he argues it often doesn't teach practical financial literacy. Not really.
Yeah.
So the book really pushes self-education. Things like understanding basic accounting. You got to know where the money's going. Learning about investing, obviously. Getting a feel for how markets work. And even understanding the basics of law, like for contracts or setting up a business.
Right, the legal side.
Yeah, these aren't just, nice extras.
Mm-hmm.
He presents them as fundamental skills if you're serious about building wealth, about making that money work for you, idea or reality.
And that connects directly to another really critical distinction he makes, one that seems obvious, but apparently trips a lot of people up. The difference between an asset and a liability.
Oh yeah, huge.
He defines an asset simply as something that puts money in your pocket, like, say, a rental property bringing in rent, or stocks paying dividends. And a liability takes money out, like an expensive car with payments and insurance, or, credit card debt. It seems so clear when you put it like that. Why is that distinction still confusing for so many folks?
I think a lot of it comes down to social conditioning, maybe emotional attachment too.
How so?
Well, think about the common wisdom. People often think their house, their primary home, is their biggest asset. Or maybe that fancy car they bought.
Right, because it's worth something?
It might be worth something, sure, it might appreciate. But Kiyosaki's definition is purely about cash flow right now. Is it putting money in your pocket each month or taking it out?
Okay.
So your house with the mortgage, the property taxes, insurance, upkeep, from a pure cash flow view, it's taking money out. It functions like a liability in his framework.
Ah, I see. That's a potentially controversial way to view your home for some people.
It can be, yeah. But understanding that difference is fundamental because it shifts your whole focus.
Hmm.
You stop thinking about just owning expensive things and start thinking about acquiring things that generate income.
Things that pay you.
Exactly. Things that move you towards financial freedom.
Yeah.
It makes you really analyze the true cost and benefit of everything you spend money on.
That clarity really does change things. And it ties into his point about not relying only on school for financial independence. He basically argues that school trains you to be an employee, to work for money.
Mm-hmm.
But real financial independence, he says, comes from that self-education we talked about, maybe even entrepreneurship. What does that really imply for someone listening, someone wanting to, get ahead financially?
Well, the big implication is that the responsibility is on you. Completely.
Not the school system, not your boss.
Exactly. You can't just expect your job or your degree to automatically lead to financial freedom. You have to be proactive about learning. It means looking beyond the traditional classroom, being curious, seeking out knowledge about money, investing, business. It's about understanding that you can create value, generate income yourself, rather than just collecting a paycheck.
It's a much more active stance.
Very active. Again, traditional education has its place, huge value. But for financial independence, Kiyosaki emphasizes this other skill set, this different way of learning.
And this really builds up to what he calls the ultimate mindset shift, doesn't it? Moving from thinking like an employee to thinking like an investor, which includes being okay with taking calculated risks and maybe even seeing failure differently.
Yes, seeing failure not as the end, but as, a learning opportunity, essential for an investor or entrepreneur. It's a total flip from the play it safe employee mentality.
And he has some really provocative quotes around this. One that always stands out is, "The love of money is not the root of all evil. The lack of money is."
That one gets attention.
It really challenges conventional thinking. How does he justify saying that the lack of money is the root of evil? What's the thinking there?
Well, I don't think he's saying greed is good, necessarily. It's more about the practical consequences of not having enough money, the lack of money, the constant financial struggle. That's what often leads to, stress, desperation, maybe making bad choices, feeling trapped.
Limited options?
Exactly. It restricts your choices, puts huge pressure on your life, your health, your relationships. When you're just focused on survival, on making ends meet, it's incredibly hard to think long-term, to plan, to take smart risks.
So it's less a moral statement about money itself and more about the practical freedom that financial security provides.
I think that's a good way to put it. He's reframing it. Money isn't inherently evil. It's a tool. And lacking that tool can cause a lot of problems and suffering. Having enough gives you power over your own life, freedom, choices.
And reinforcing that need for action, there's that other quote: "Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow."
Yeah, that's a powerful reminder.
It really brings it down to earth. Your financial future isn't just going to happen someday. It's built day by day, decision by decision. What you do now.
Small steps consistently.
So, thinking about all this, why should someone listening, maybe someone new to personal finance, engage with these ideas from Rich Dad Poor Dad? What's the payoff?
Well, I think it's great because it just smashes so many common assumptions about money and work.
Yeah, it really challenges the status quo.
It does, and it's written in a very accessible way, which makes it a good starting point if you're just beginning to think seriously about this stuff.
It gives you a different lens to look through.
Exactly. It empowers you, gives you a sense that you can take control of your financial situation. You don't have to just be passive. You can be the architect.
That's a good way to put it.
It's important, though, to be clear what the book isn't.
Okay.
It's definitely not a step-by-step, get-rich-quick scheme. Don't expect specific stock tips or detailed investment strategies.
Right, it's more foundational.
Much more. It's best seen as a financial wake-up call, like you said. It's about shifting your fundamental mindset about money. In fact, Kiyosaki apparently suggests reading it regularly, maybe even twice a year,
Wow, really? Why so often?
just to keep those core principles fresh, to constantly reinforce that different way of thinking about assets, liabilities, cash flow, and making money work for you. It's easy to slip back into old habits.
That makes sense. Keep sharpening that mindset. And really, that's what we aim for in this deep dive, to give you a shortcut to understanding these powerful, potentially life-changing ideas, this crucial mindset shift.
So maybe a final thought to leave people with, building on that quote about today creating the future. Given that, what's maybe one small, concrete step you could take, maybe even today, to start shifting, to begin focusing on building assets that generate income instead of just working for it? Just one small thing to get started.